starved, threatened, silenced. The shocking truth about life inside prison. Before we begin, understand this. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's stitched together from court filings, federal investigations, and testimonies smuggled past prison walls. Subscribe, like, and comment if you believe the truth should never be buried, because once you hear this, you won't look at prison the same way again. The call came in just after dawn. An inmate was found unresponsive in his cell at the notorious Mississippi State Penitentiary, better known as Parchman. No visible trauma. No weapon. Just a body curled on a thin mattress stained darker than the concrete floor beneath it. Correctional officers called it natural causes. But when federal investigators stepped inside Unit 29, they smelled something else, rot. Not just from overflowing toilets and mold creeping up cracked walls, but from a system that had been decaying for years. The victim's name was Marcus Reed, 32, locked up on a nonviolent offense. According to cellmates, he'd been complaining for weeks about the food: spoiled meat, watered-down grits, portions so small they barely kept a man standing. He'd filed grievances. So had dozens of others. Then the threat started. "Stop writing," one guard allegedly warned him, "or you'll regret it." Detective Laura Bennett, assigned to the case after Reed's family demanded an independent autopsy, had seen prison deaths before. Overdoses. Fights gone wrong. But this was different. Reed weighed 47 pounds less than when he entered Parchman 18 months earlier. Medical logs showed repeated requests for treatment, ignored. Kitchen inspection records? Missing. When Bennett interviewed inmates, their eyes darted toward the door. One whispered, "It's not just the food. It's punishment. They starve you quiet." Similar reports had surfaced overseas. Inspectors at HMP Liverpool documented maggot-infested showers and crumbling cells. In Australia, advocates raised alarms about conditions inside Banksia Hill Detention Centre, where youth detainees described isolation and deteriorating facilities. But this wasn't overseas. This was American soil. Then the autopsy results came back. Not natural causes. Severe malnutrition complicated by untreated infection. Someone had watched Marcus Reed waste away and done nothing. And when Detective Bennett subpoenaed the prison's internal security footage from the week before his death, she was told the cameras in Unit 29 had malfunctioned. All of them. But one rookie technician made a mistake. He forgot about the backup server. And when investigators opened that locked digital archive, what they found changed everything. The backup server wasn't supposed to exist. Tucked inside a dusty maintenance closet at Mississippi State Penitentiary, it hummed quietly, still recording, still storing. When federal investigators finally accessed the archived footage, Detective Laura Bennett stood behind the technician, arms crossed, jaw tight. The timestamp read 3 nights before Marcus Reed's death. At 2:13 a.m., Reed staggered to his cell door, knocking weakly. He held his stomach, his frame skeletal beneath oversized prison blues. He tried to get a guard's attention. No one came. At 3:47 a.m., a correctional officer approached the tier. The footage had no audio, but the body language was unmistakable. Reed gestured desperately. The officer paused, then walked away. By sunrise, Reed collapsed. But it was what happened earlier that made Bennett's blood run cold. 2 days before his death, Reed was escorted from his cell after filing another complaint about food portions. The camera showed him returning hours later, limping. The official logbook claimed he had attended a routine medical evaluation. Yet there was no medical record of that visit. Bennett dug deeper. Financial records revealed that the prison's food supply contract had been quietly amended months earlier. The vendor's costs were slashed, meal budgets cut nearly in half. Yet the state allocation remained the same. Millions unaccounted for. In the UK, reports from HMP Liverpool had once exposed similar cost-cutting measures that left inmates in deteriorating conditions. In Australia, scrutiny over operations at Banksia Hill Detention Centre triggered national debate about oversight failures. Patterns. Different continents. Same silence. When Bennett interviewed the prison's kitchen supervisor, he insisted the meals met federal standards. 3 trays a day. Balanced diet. But inmates told a different story. Moldy bread. sour milk, portions so small fights broke out over scraps. Then an anonymous envelope arrived at Bennett's office. Inside were photocopies of internal emails. One message, sent by a senior administrator, read, "Reduce waste by any means necessary. Complaints are to be handled internally. No external reporting." Another line stood out, "Keep Unit 29 under control." Under control. Bennett subpoenaed payroll records next. That's when she saw it, a series of bonuses issued to select administrators after the food budget cuts were implemented. The motive was no longer abstract neglect. It was profit. But before she could secure arrest warrants, one of her key inmate witnesses was transferred overnight to an undisclosed facility. And when Bennett returned to her office the next morning, her case files were gone. Someone wasn't just covering up a death. They were protecting a system. By the time Detective Laura Bennett realized her files were missing, the message was clear. She wasn't just investigating a death anymore. She was stepping into a machine designed to protect itself. Her office door showed no signs of forced entry. Security logs indicated no unauthorized access. Yet every physical document related to Marcus Reed's case, autopsy reports, financial audits, witness statements, had vanished overnight. Only one thing remained. A single photocopy Bennett had taken home by instinct the night before, the internal email referencing Unit 29 control measures. She went straight to the federal task force. Within hours, subpoenas expanded beyond Mississippi State Penitentiary. Bank records were traced. Shell companies surfaced. The food vendor wasn't just undercutting costs, it was subcontracting to smaller suppliers with histories of health code violations. Expired goods were repackaged. Portion weights quietly reduced. On paper, everything appeared compliant. In reality, inmates were slowly deteriorating. Former kitchen staff, now under whistleblower protection, described pressure from administrators to stretch the supply. One cook admitted they were ordered to water down protein servings to meet inventory quotas. It wasn't about nutrition, he said. It was about numbers. Then came the turning point. A corrections officer, young, nervous, visibly shaken, requested a private meeting with Bennett. He had worked the night Reed collapsed. "I tried to call medical," he said. "They told me to log it and move on." According to his testimony, supervisors had discouraged emergency medical transfers unless an inmate was non-responsive beyond doubt. Ambulances cost money. Outside hospital bills triggered reviews. Reed had been responsive, weak but alive. The officer also confirmed something darker. Inmates who repeatedly filed grievances were often reassigned to harsher units, their privileges reduced. Isolation. Food portions delayed. Quiet retaliation. When Bennett prepared warrants for two senior administrators, one resigned abruptly. The other checked into a private medical facility the same day. Then the threats began. An unmarked car idled outside Bennett's house for 3 nights straight. Her phone emitted unexplained static during calls. Anonymous emails warned her to focus on safer cases. Meanwhile, the inmate transferred from Unit 29 resurfaced in a different state, hospitalized, severely dehydrated. The case was no longer contained within prison walls. National media caught wind. Comparisons surfaced to documented oversight failures at HMP Liverpool and policy reviews following scrutiny at Banksia Hill Detention Centre. The pattern was undeniable. When oversight weakened, suffering multiplied. But Bennett still lacked the one piece needed to bring criminal charges, proof that administrators knowingly allowed conditions that led to Reed's death. Then forensic accountants uncovered a hidden offshore account tied directly to the prison's deputy commissioner. And the transaction dates matched the weeks Marcus Reed began starving. The system wasn't broken. It was engineered. And someone at the very top had signed off on it. The warrant was signed at 6:42 a.m. By noon, federal agents were walking into administrative offices at Mississippi State Penitentiary with sealed indictments in hand. The deputy commissioner, once praised for budget efficiency, was led out past flashing cameras, his expression frozen between disbelief and calculation. Forensic accountants had done what internal oversight never did. The offshore account wasn't just a saving stash, It was fed by inflated vendor payments, performance bonuses tied to cost reductions, and a silent agreement that complaints from Unit 29 would never reach outside auditors. Marcus Reed had become a liability the moment he started writing grievances. Emails recovered from a deleted server confirmed it. One message read, "Persistent complainers create inspection risk." Another, "Medical transfers must be minimized. Budget discipline is priority." It wasn't a spontaneous failure. It was policy disguised as efficiency. Arrests followed, 2 administrators, 1 procurement officer, and a private contractor executive. Charges ranged from fraud to civil rights violations. Civil lawsuits stacked up. Families of other deceased inmates came forward, their stories echoing Reed's decline. Rapid weight loss, untreated infections, ignored pleas. Public outrage ignited. Lawmakers demanded emergency inspections. Independent monitors were installed. Comparisons resurfaced to documented deterioration at HMP Liverpool and reform inquiries surrounding Banksia Hill Detention Centre. Oversight committees suddenly discovered urgency. But justice rarely feels cinematic. The deputy commissioner struck a plea deal, admitting to financial misconduct while denying direct responsibility for inmate deaths. The contractor agreed to restitution without admitting criminal intent. Policy reforms were announced. Meals standards revised. Surveillance systems upgraded. On paper, it looked like accountability. Detective Laura Bennett attended Marcus Reed's funeral weeks later. Closed casket. Quiet church. His mother held a folded copy of his final grievance letter, the one that never left Unit 29. "He said they were starving them," she whispered. "I thought he was exaggerating." Bennett knew he wasn't. Months later, an independent review revealed that documented calorie counts had improved. Inspection scores rose. Headlines faded. But here's the part that lingers. In the final audit summary, buried deep in the appendix, investigators noted that at least 6 additional inmate deaths during the same period had contributing factors consistent with nutritional neglect. No one was charged in those cases. Marcus Reed became the name that triggered reform. The others became statistics. And if you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one, hit subscribe so you don't miss it.